consecutive games. And they do it on the road.
Someone's got to win and someone's got to lose, and sometimes you have a career day and you still end up in the loss column. We're always winners when Bryant McFadden is here handing out his big winners and losers. We start with the winner here, Mac. Coming out of this one, little tease with the video there. Your biggest winner.
The Baltimore Ravens, you know, currently in a 3-game winning streak. When you look at the ebbs and flow of that ball game against the Cincinnati Bengals, Cincinnati got things rolling offensively. Joe Burrow, to Joe's point, had a career-like day. He needed every productive yard he was able to get, but yet and still that was not enough. When you look at Baltimore being down double digits in the fourth quarter, the game going into extra periods, getting the first opportunity on the offensive end in overtime, fumbled the football. Your defense bowled their back up. A missed field goal attempt by Cincinnati led to King Henry doing king-like things. Of course, your Hall of Fame kicker came in, and Justin Tucker won the ball game, walk-off field goal. When you look at what was at stake in the particular ball game, you had an opportunity to potentially be 2-3, tied with Cincinnati in the division, but finding a way to win that ball game. Now you're 3-2, and you create separation between Cincinnati and the likes of the Cleveland Browns, and you're still trying to keep pace with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Huge effort, big-time win for the Baltimore Ravens, and because of that, they're my biggest winner.
Think about the vibes at 0-2 going to a matchup with the Cowboys, thinking, could this team be 0-3? Are we ready to write them off? Well, careful now.
Don't write back.
Those Baltimore Ravens are a problem for anyone they line up across from. A lot of teams had problems on this week, Mac. Your biggest loser coming out of week 5, I mean, you could pick from a large group of teams here, but you're going to who?
No question. When you look at the parity that we saw in week 5, a lot happened in the wrong direction for a lot of successful teams, positive teams. But my biggest loser is the San Francisco 49ers, right? Playing against a divisional foe in the Arizona Cardinals. At one point in time, they were up 23-13 in that ball game. Didn't score 1 point in the second half. They were outscored by the Arizona Cardinals 14-0. They had multiple chances to seal that game, to win it. They allowed that game to squander away, and now it's like a traffic jam of like teams in the NFC West. They're sitting in traffic with the likes of the Arizona Cardinals, and then followed by the Los Angeles Rams and Seattle. They're just holding on for dear life. This was a prime moment for San Francisco to state their claim as the cream of the crop in their division, but because of careless, sloppy play, especially in the fourth quarter, led to their demise in losing this ball game and providing a huge win for the Arizona Cardinals.
And a huge win for the rest of that division as well, because maybe the West we expected to be all the rage, but the North has proven to be maybe what we expected from that division. But before we move on here, Mac, I do want to go one deeper on San Francisco, because this is not only a loss where you had another 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. It comes against a team that you've dominated for what feels like a half-decade now, and they certainly have against the Arizona Cardinals, no matter what makeup they come in. What does that do to a team? I mean, I guess I'm asking you about complacency here. Did you sense any complacency with the 49ers in that second half, looking across the line and saying, it's just the Cardinals?
Yeah, I felt like the sense of urgency or the lack thereof really surfaced in this ball game, especially when you had a double-digit lead in the second half. Number one, you should have kept running the football. I know we saw a huge mistake, fumble by Mason, but up until that point, the carries were still limited, which I didn't understand, because he averaged over 6 yards per carry. You look at the winning quarterback who was fighting from behind the entire ball game. He had less passing attempts than the guy who led the ball game for the majority of the game, and Brock Purdy. How was that? Brock Purdy had a lead for the entirety of the ball game until the final 2 drives, but he was consistently throwing the ball in the game where Arizona had no answer for the rushing attack. So things like that, when it comes to coaching, just a strategy, continue to do what has been working for you, instead of making things difficult, because at that point they couldn't stop the ground game, utilize the clock, and now you be in a position to win the ball game, and most importantly, don't create turnovers. So me personally, this is something that when you go back and watch the tape for San Francisco, they had 3 or 4 chances where they could have easily won that ball game, walk into the locker room as a winner, but unfortunately they walked in as a loser.
You got to put it in arm's reach when you have that opportunity. I know we talk about the wrinkles that Kyle Shanahan has in that offense. feels like a little bit of a different playbook right now. A little more reliant on the deep pass rather than the dink and dunk. A little bit of a different running game as he tries to match the skill set of Jordan Mason and not Christian McCaffrey. All that he brings to the playbook.
Yep.
Pre-snap motion a little bit down. We'll see if they can find their footing, which I'm sure they can. One of the best coaching staffs and rosters still in this league. But by halves, Purdy going to want this second one back.